Welcome everyone back to another Dragon Ball Legends video. My name is DFree, and in this video we're doing something a little bit differently. As you see by the tweet that I put out, I asked basically what are some tweaks / modes you would like to be added to Dragon Ball Legends that you think would make the game more enjoyable. From my perspective, I enjoy it. There are times where I don't really play it as much because of course, being busy, and the game is heavily dependent on you paying attention in a lot of scenarios unless you just massively over-level the competition. But otherwise, you know, it does require that level of paying attention and things like that. So sometimes I don't always invest a whole lot of time, but then there are times like this week with the new update and level 1500 and stuff where I'm just kind of playing nonstop. So, you know, when it comes down to that, my enjoyment doesn't really wane too much. It's just more or less if I have the time. Sometimes I don't have the time. But there are people that I've heard of and know about, and, you know, and for better reason, for good or worse, you know, that do have criticisms of the game. It's not perfect. That do not enjoy the game. That rather would play something that's a little bit more simplistic, like a Dokkan or other games like that. Or if they would, you know, there are people that also even consider this to be like a knockoff version of like Xenoverse, right? And then would rather play a console version of a game, you know, if they're going to play a fighter game. So things like that, right? So I wanted to take the opportunity, let you guys' voices be heard. So at any point, feel free to comment in the comment section. Feel free to be a part of the discussion. And let me know your thoughts about anything that I answer in this video. I'm going to try to answer as many of these as I can, some of which I've already replied to on Twitter. Otherwise, if you want to be a part of this a little bit ahead of the curve, feel free to follow me on Twitter. The link is down below in the description. So to begin, the newest ones, I think it's kind of sorting by like the date of the time at which I responded or something. I don't know. Anyways, he says, I was asking about this for clarification, basically. LR Gohan says, I genuinely don't like Dragon Ball Legends because of how the PvP system works and how bad the rates are. My response was, the rates are typical gacha rates. It's 5%, typical gacha rates. Some games have a, you know, a higher rate than that. For example, again, back to Dokkan, that game has a natural 10% rate, but don't get confused because a lot of times, you know, the game's just so old at this point that a lot of times the pools are very, very flooded with units that aren't that good anymore. So, I mean, you know, 5% is the typical gacha rate for just about every game, some of which even have 3% and things of that nature. So, really, I think 5 is pretty good. But trust me, there have been cold streaks, and you guys have seen it in my summon videos that I've gone on, where it's like, wow, I literally have done like 4 or 5 summons, and I haven't pulled a sparking. That shouldn't be allowed. You know, at the very least, when it comes to that, I think that they should guarantee a sparking. Not every summon yet. It took Dokkan years to do that. You know, if Legends wants to be ahead of the curve, they should do that ASAP. Guarantee a sparking per multi-summon. Like, I would love that. But, you know, very soon, even if they want to do the thing that Blazing did for a while, or I think they still kind of do, a lot of games do it where it's a mercy system. After 2 or 3 summons, you get a guaranteed new sparking or things of that nature. That will work, too, to kind of help alleviate some of that concern. Another thing that was talked about from Carlito here was he said more Zenny. My response was, that one's not too hard to do, and I really don't think it is. You know, I have over 8 million right now, but I do acknowledge that as we get more accustomed to leveling up our characters, again, that couples with more souls and stuff like that, and we're going to need more Zenny to improve our characters further. So more is always nice. It's just kind of like, you know, if you spam the Zenny stage, which again is dependent on having stone refills, I understand that. Things of that nature, you can kind of get a little bit ahead of the curve. But otherwise, I do agree. And I think that the current login bonus right now is a nice step in the right direction with 500K per day. Like, that's really, really nice step in the direction that we should be heading into as far as getting more Zenny for our characters just in general. Because it's required. Like, and of course, it's not like it's a really small amount of Zenny. You actually use a lot of Zenny in this game to the point where, you know, at first when they were like, oh, here's 1 million Zenny for this, you know, new event when the game was newer, I was like, that's awesome. And I was like, wait, this is actually crap. This is like literally nothing. So yeah, we do need more Zenny. Dan, a friend of mine, says more ways to get orbs, easier ways to get orbs. And you know, the funny thing is, like, I'm not lying when I say, like, I don't have an issue with getting those. All I do is use my freaking, I have like 1,000 of them by now, by the way, skip tickets. And skip tickets, they're kind of hit or miss too when it comes to getting the orbs. I assume he's talking about the higher level super souls. When it comes to them, they're hit or miss because of the fact that you can literally invest dozens of them. You know, if you're just unlucky, you're just flat out unlucky. Now, that I don't think should be a thing. I think they need to increase the rates just because, again, we need those. It's kind of like the Zenny thing where it comes to improving our characters. We have no choice but to try to grind these things. So as far as that's concerned, I will always take more. And then I do like that sometimes they're giving them as mission rewards or login rewards or things like that. So they need to keep that up. But I think that there needs to be an actual like Cybermen stage You know, because right now the Cybermen stages, I believe if you take on their chapter 2, they drop some souls and stuff. Like, it's, oh, okay, whatever, I guess. 6 of the yellow like level 2 souls or whatever, like things like that, whatever, I guess. But like, there needs to be a stage, even if it's just once a day or something like that, where you can actually farm higher level souls, level 4 and beyond, and then into super souls. So, especially because going forward, we're going to have a lot higher leveled super souls too. Like, it's been data mined already. There's going to be a lot more coming in the future when our characters go past level 1500. I honestly just hate the combat system and think it feels broken. That's fair. There are going to be probably several comments about the combat system, and that's fair. I don't really have a retort to that, because of the fact that, again, this is a game that's heavily dependent on that, and a lot of it comes down to preference too. If you're somebody like me that doesn't really mind that this isn't a full in-depth, you know, fighter like, well, Dragon Ball Fighters or things like that, you know, it doesn't really matter to me, but I understand from that other perspective. And then broken, that's a little vague, but I assume there are some issues with it, like maybe like the block, which I know people are going to talk about in here because I've seen them already, and things like that. So anyways, thank you for the comment, Dragon Ball Duo. And then we have Dr. Love, 1 stamina usage per experience / Zenny missions instead of 5, aka half. Chapter 2, they did that for Chapter 1. For whatever reason, they didn't do it for Chapter 2. In the future, when they drop a Chapter 3, I'm all but certain they will reduce Chapter 2, because it's not going to be as good, or the top one that you run. It's funny, like the other one, I think Chapter 1, correct me if I'm mistaken anyway, Chapter 1 is one stamina, but it's like once a day or something like that. The other one is 5 stamina. You can run it as many times as you want. Like, what kind of backwards logic? You know, I agree, like the 5 stamina is insane, just because the game takes forever, and because you can only have a maximum of 10 stamina, which again is another thing that's like, why? You know, a lot of games have a rank up system that allows you to increase your stamina. Going back to Dokkan, they have that. I have hundreds of stamina on there. You know, I don't know, when you everything is 1 stamina, fine, it kind of makes a little bit more sense like that. But if you're gonna take 5 or odd numbers of stamina from me, that's kind of gets excessive, especially when it gets up to a higher amount, because really you can only play a couple things before you're out of stamina and you're forced to play PvP. But that in and of itself is probably why the stamina is handled the way that it is. They just want to shovel as many of us over to the PvP area, which is why recently they've included, I guess they're going to continue to do them. I thought it was going to be just a periodic thing, but it looks like they're going to have rolling mission rewards for playing PvP too. So that's probably why, as far as that's concerned. But I agree 100%. Those stages, because it goes back to Zenny, and then another very popular thing, we need a lot of experience. We need that. We need to be able to spam it as much as we want. A block button or some tag team card, like how the LR androids function in Dokkan. I don't know what he means about a tag team card. That's because when he says the block button, like that kind of makes me think he means like this is the tag thing is like some sort of like, you know, like a branch of that. But it sounds like these are 2 different things. So a block button / card, I'm gonna get a lot, so I'll talk about that momentarily. But to focus on the other part, it sounds like he just wants like a duo card, which would be 2 characters in one, like an LR, like whatever. Like a lot of the LRs in Dokkan do that, which I wouldn't be opposed to that. Android 17 and 18, for example, I wouldn't be opposed to it. It's just kind of weird, and I don't think Legends will ever really do it, because of the way that it's like, oh, okay, well, the way that this game is handled, it's not a bubble clicker. You actually have to fully like have animations and all that stuff, so it's kind of weird. So I don't think that'll ever happen, unfortunately, but that would be kind of cool. I just want to be able to block. Let me go back down to there. From Ryan Parks, I just want to be able to block. Yep, I've told you, like a lot of people really want that block button. They really, okay, so let me just talk about it now, and I'll just kind of skip the ones prior. So in the beta for this game, before it came out, right, they had a little block in there. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, when you go, and I've talked about this story several times actually, well, you know how when you're going into a stage, it has that gray screen with the little tips while it's loading and stuff. You know, one of those slides even said, and that slide is non-existent anymore. It does not exist in the final version of the game, but in the beta it did. It said characters can block, but they block randomly, basically. So there was not a block button, but there was a block feature. I remember playing against Rhymestyle and stuff like that just on Discord, and we were chatting. He was like, wait, how did you block like that? And I was like, oh, yeah, there's a block. I've seen people do it to me. I just have no idea how to do it. And I even tweeted at the time, how do you do it? And then through that, we figured out that, yo, it's in there, but it's random. So it sounds like to me, they had the idea for blocking. Either they scrapped it entirely, or in the future they will go back to it, okay? So that is something that I know a lot of people want to see, because just simply adding a block button adds another layer of depth to this game. And it really, really sucks when you're caught in a combo and you can't do anything. You know, aside from switch your character, that is your only real defense, which is why things like cover damage, like that Piccolo has, that Trunks has, I think 17 has that. That's like quietly one of the best mechanics in the entire game, which is why Piccolo still to this day is one of the best characters in the game, period. Which I'm not really going to talk about that a whole lot right now, but, you know, because we don't have a natural defensive thing, you know, there's no other way to avoid taking that damage. So you just basically shift the damage to somebody that's better equipped to take it. So yes, a lot of people want that. It was in the earlier build of the game for its beta release before it came out officially. It is no longer in the game. All traces of it have basically been removed, but they will probably implement it later on, or they just couldn't figure out how they wanted to make it work. I had some people say maybe they can just produce a guard card or things like that, like a block card. You know, I don't think they need to have an all-encompassing block button that's there all the time. And you can kind of, if you're familiar with Android 17 and his barrier, you kind of see their examples for that. Like, his barrier does not work against all types of attacks at all scenarios. It's not always triggerable mid-combo. Like, they didn't even handle that the way that you would probably think that they should have. So, I don't know. I think it'll come in the future, though. So that's going to answer all my block things. More stamina so you can grind, and more orbs, Zenny, experience, etc. I'm not going to use my crystals to get more stamina. See, like, this is true. Like, I think that you need more stamina. Now, I'm not just saying this from the I spend money on the game, so I don't really have this problem perspective, regardless of how you want to take it. But I don't really see an issue with spending 10 to 20 a day if the gain is there, right? If the gain is there for your characters and you're able to get ahead. Now, you should not have to, but this applies to every game. Like, especially in this game, that's only 2 refills, 10 to 20. I wouldn't, and then you outpace that right now with the 50 that you get daily. Like, you're still gaining, of course, especially if you're able to clear more story modes as a part of that and stuff. I don't really see an issue with it, but I do understand not wanting to, because, I mean, especially if you're a free-to-play player, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, that's not my mindset. Even if I was free-to-play, I'd still have the same mindset. The stamina cost of the experiences, any stages needs to be dropped to 3 from 5 just to make it easier to level. Yeah, like, everybody's kind of saying the same thing. Like, the freaking stamina is an issue in this game. And that's one thing that I discovered. Like, it's the stamina cost that these stages have, these 2 stages. And apparently the Android 18 EX stages that they added for her stuff, like, I think they cost more than 1. Correct me if I'm mistaken. Otherwise, you know, it's a bad trend that we can see this game go down in the future as far as, like, costing too much stamina for stuff. We're going to answer a few more of these. I can't spend a whole lot of time. I don't want this to be a 30-minute video. We're going to answer about 3 or 4 more of these. The stamina cost, we already answered that. But thank you guys for the questions, by the way. Or not questions per se, but like the responses. In auto battle mode, the game takes so much concentration I can barely find time to play it because I find myself wanting to do other stuff because the PvE is boring. That's PvE is where you play solo player, basically. So I don't know if I agree in particular. I wanted an auto battle mode until I discovered that, like, auto battling. Oh, look at those Krillins down there, by the way. Hashtag Krillin it. Until I kind of thought about it and I was like, yo, auto battling would be fun, but it kind of defeats the purpose of what this game is, which I love auto battling in every game, but not every game has it and or needs it. Now, there is another element to that, the skip ticket, and let me see this reply. Oh, yeah, there it goes. That's right on cue. That's what skip tickets are for. So there's another element to that, the skip ticket. The issue with the skip ticket to me, and the way that this game handles stamina, again, is probably so everybody has a competitive balance, basically, because if you didn't know, the stamina overall, it's 10, and then, of course, per refill, I think, like, you refill a couple times, it costs you 10 each, then it goes up to 20 each, then it goes up to 30 each, and then I think after that, they kind of just stop you from being able, or it just keeps going up and up and up on the amount of crystals that you would need to be able to keep refreshing your stamina, which is insane to me. That's like, it's kind of like, do you not want me to spend money on your game? That's an insane practice to me. And then on top of that, the skip tickets, back to that, they also use experience, or not experience, stamina. So that's another thing too. It kind of seems like they handle this game to where if you just have money, you don't get the biggest advantage anyway, which from that perspective, it makes sense to me, but it really limits everybody in general, the way that they're handling this. So I would like an auto battle, but what I would like more than that is for skip tickets not to use my stamina. That's about it. Because that's really what skip tickets are for. You get to even skip the entire battle with the skip ticket. You just literally don't even see the animations. It's just done. It was simulated. It's done. So, higher summon rates, that's always going to be a thing with gacha games. Can't really talk about that. But maybe they can do some mercy system like I talked about previously. Nice. Krillin's my boy. Adventure mode. I don't really know. He needs to expand on that. That's not enough info. I think the most requested mode, and the one I was hoping for most, is a raid mode where hopefully we can have some type of a cooperative event with other players against an enemy AI. So, I've seen a lot of people kind of mention, I think Rhyme might have mentioned that in a video or something like that. Like, I've seen people mention the thought of getting a raid or something like that. And this game is suited for it. Like, it is suited for it. Now, it would take some tweaking, but I think the game can do it, and I think they might decide to do it in the future when they kind of run low on ideas. And like, okay, let's go revisit some of those things that maybe the community's talking about or whatever, right? Even if that's not their thought process. But the thing about a raid, I would like that a lot. I just don't think it's going to come anytime soon. But I do think there's a high possibility that that type of thing comes, because I do want this game to not only encourage competitiveness against players, but I want it to, which it heavily does, like everything in the game. Like, there's even the daily mission. Like, you, in order to do it, you are forced to play PvP, so it wants you to freaking do the competition. But I would like cooperative work and stuff like that. Like, that would be pretty cool. Free 1,000 Chrono Crystals every day. Yeah. It would be nice to use the tickets without losing energy. I just talked about that. Would love that. Super Legends Road. That, I assume you're talking about Dokkan Super Battle Road. That would be interesting. It would be insanely hard, probably. Different summon animations, please no. Legends has a million of them, but I guess. Although I will say, once you've seen all of them, then it gets really stale. Popping Bubble Simulation, Dokkan. Auto battle without having to clear the stage. So being able to use skip tickets without having to clear the stage first is kind of weird. Because you have to complete all objectives, too. I don't know why that's in place, but I guess. How about a bonus battle, rare medals, which means you get like 80 medals once a day. Oh. That would be insane. I don't know about 80. They'd probably cap it off at like 20. But getting rare medals from the Cyberman stage would be pretty awesome. Like, one for that. I would like that a lot. The energy system, I assume that's probably more about the stamina. A practice mode to get used to new characters' fighting styles and to test teams. Yeah, a test mode would be a lot of fun. I actually sometimes just want something like that too, but don't have it. Like, a just limitless AI or limitless enemies HP bar. You know, they don't do anything unless I tell them to. Like a traditional fighting game has something like that. I don't think that would be too out of the realm of like possibility, because you do have to get used to your characters, man. That's another thing about it. You have to learn their playstyles and stuff like that. So even though they're all kind of the same, they're all kind of different at the same time. So Legends Battle Royale, a mode with different combat, maybe turn-based or something. I hate the combat elements. Oh, okay. So kind of like how Xenoverse put in the Hero Coliseum, something different. Not exactly like to say, oh, let's make it Dokkan, but maybe something a little different. Turn-based would be cool, like a Final Fantasy-esque turn-based system. That'd be different, I guess. Anyways, that is it. Hope you all enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like I said, next time I put one of these out, you guys can be a part of it as well if you want to go ahead to and tweet me. By the way, feel free to answer the question of this video, basically, that I started off with on Twitter in the comment section down below. I'll be looking at those too. So have an awesome day, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Take it easy.